Welcome everyone to Takeover United Pod, the most disappointing podcast on the internet. For the most disappointing club in the world, Man United. Man, this club is it's killing every supporter slowly. If you're a Man United supporter, you don't need slow poison. Just supporting the club is enough. Like what is this club doing? We're losing to West Ham 2-0. Like I don't know. The club is so drunk about potentially winning the Europa League that they've completely forgotten that they have to play football in the league as well. And it's not like we played kids in the league. Again, I don't know why we didn't play kids against West Ham when it's a irrelevant game. But then when you play a full strength side with players like Bruno and whatever, I don't care who started. But when you play a full strength game with the kind of players that we have, you expect at least to beat West Ham, don't you, Sondi? Like, what is going on here? I don't care about Europe at this point, man. This is nonsense.
Uh, yeah, I think when Amorim said that we must be ready to suffer, I didn't realize he meant for our managerial choices. Man, where do I start? Like,
Yeah, that's a bigger problem. Eh?
our
Where do we
team,
start?
yeah,
It's so rotten from top to bottom.
there are like a million issues going on. Where's this goalkeeping coach? The famous attacker who can perform better than our loanies. I want to see that guy putting in the goals right now. No sign of whatever his name is. Uh, i- are we really surprised that we lost to West Ham though? Like, if you're being completely realistic, looking at how the team's been in the league, particularly under Amorim this season, is it really such a big shock that we capitulated to West Ham?
I still expected more, man. West Ham were below us in the league. I mean, now they're above us. Um, they beat
Right.
us to 40 points. But again, if you're a team that can score 7 goals, luck notwithstanding, against one of the best defenses of La Liga, there is absolutely no excuse for such an abjectly terrible performance against a team that was 16th in the league and now 15th because, well, you played so bad that you became 16th now. But um, there's honestly no excuse. Like with the kind of players we have, again, I if you bring up who started the game, do you remember who started the game? Because honestly, can't remember.
I mean, I'm trying to like wipe my memory of them, but I do remember that Ugarte started and Highland up top.
Yeah,
I, I I can't remember who started the game, but
I
I
mean,
can very well remember
Can,
who.
can you actually bring up the two lineups? Because I feel like that would
yeah,
make
yeah,
for
yeah.
an interesting look.
That's what I'm doing. Give me a
I
moment.
I,
But
I
I do
can I
remember
can
that
definitely.
Ahmad started, Mainu started, all the the
Right.
the big guns
Yeah.
started. So it's not like we played a like it's not like we played a second string first senior side or something. We played really
Absolutely. Yeah.
um yeah. So second. So just hold on, it's not on the stream yet. Just a minute. Okay, there it is on the stream now. Yeah, so this is the side that we are playing. So we have Shaw, Euro, Mazraoui in centre backs, Amas and Diallo on as wing backs, Bruno and Ugarte in midfield, Mount and Mainu as a 10. Wait, we played Mainu as a 10? Oh my god. And Hoyland up top. No reason this
I
team
mean,
should be
straight off
losing.
the yeah, like straight off the bat, I feel like except for maybe Hoyland and Ugarte, I feel like we're better in most areas of the pitch. There aren't many teams you can say that for in the Premier League, but West Ham are one of them.
Yeah.
Uh, the fact that, like, look at that midfield. I mean, Ward-Prowse and Rodriguez aren't even like the quickest players, so it's
Yeah.
not like they physically overwhelm us, right?
I mean, Watford is a free kick merchant, man. What the hell are we doing losing to him?
Rohan, do you think that this West Ham lineup is better than us, or better than like the lineup we put out there?
Well, I saw one thing is that there is something about our ex players coming back to bite us. So I saw Van Bissaka taking the absolute Mickey out of the right on the left, uh, going past Ugarte, Mazraoui, and Diallo like they weren't there. so, so it was pretty hard to watch. That yeah, I mean we should be doing more, of course, but on the day it's just like we just switched off. Uh, the type of goals we considered were like absolutely like rubbish.
Hmm.
I can't say anything about them. Like Ugarte giving away the ball cheaply, and then we just they just coming with just two players in, and like they made the run and they scored. Even the first goal, like pretty easy. So not
What
sure what they were doing there.
What do you guys feel about this manager's persistence with Ugarte? Like, I kind of feel like it's bordering on, like, I want to say it, but nepotism at this point. Just because, like, I get he's rested Casemiro because obviously you want to play him in lesser games to keep him fresh for Europa. But why even play Ugarte in this game?
Why play any of these big players, man? Why don't you just play the kids? Why are you playing Bruno? Why are you playing Ahmad? Like, if you want to give Ahmad fitness, bring him on for like 20 minutes at the end of the game, right? And then why are you playing Mount? Like, you know how injury prone Mount is. Why are you playing him in a useless game, right? Why are you
I mean,
starting Hoyland? Like, I know Cheeto hasn't exactly lit up, but why are you playing
I
Hoyland?
think I can see.
Like, I know Hoyland is, not a good striker or something, but still, I mean, in the limited minutes Cheeto has played, Cheeto has not really let it to the pitch. And, I understand why Amorim continues to start Hoyland in big games. And if that's your logic, why not save him for the final? Like, why are you starting Hoyland in an inconsequential game? Why are you starting Minor in an inconsequential game? Like, dude just came back from injuries. And if you want to give them fitness, play the kids, start them for, bring them on as subs for, 20 minutes to end the game or something. But why are you starting them? Wait, can you hear Sandeep?
No, no.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Yeah.
I could still make a case for why Mount and Meno should be playing just some minutes because, okay, they're, still getting more time back from injury. You could maybe say the same for Diallo, but Bruno, Mazraoui, Euro,
Ugarte,
these uh,
Shaw.
even Ugarte, like, right, Hoyland, like, those selections made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't get why we would play them and play them like pretty much the whole game and not even win it. I feel like if you look at the relative quality of the two lineups, like if you were to literally go player v player and compare the two squads, right? Like, actually, let's do that. Like,
Yeah,
let's
we can
actually
we can
break this
easily do that.
down.
They played almost the same formation.
Yeah, yeah. Like, interestingly, even that doesn't apply. There's only one point of difference in the two formations, which I think kind of stands out. That
Yeah, I mean they play two
j-
strikers and a 10. We play two tens and a striker.
yeah, but nominally, if you think about it, they played a three-man midfield against our two-man midfield, so to speak,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah.
Just because that's the situation that keeps happening
I mean,
to
can't you argue
Amram's
that we have a
teams.
four-man midfield?
You know, it felt like when Amram arrived that we have like a midfield box. But if you
Yeah.
look at where the tens get positioned, they kind of act like almost as high as wingers, right? They're not.
No, I
They
agree.
don't really sit in midfield consistently.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
bring
let's
up.
let's pull up the
It should
average
be the
positions. Like,
yeah. It
I'm
should be
curious.
somewhere here.
Yeah, yeah, right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, United. Three centre backs and then one wing back is behind, one wing back is. I mean, that's Ahmad. Obviously, is forward. But then yeah,
yeah,
the
he's
rest
higher up the
I
pitch.
don't see any pattern in the rest. You have Mount there. Mino is behind Bruno. I mean, of course. What is that
Yeah, I
midfield
feel
team?
like
What about West Ham? Wait, where is the third centre back? Way ahead. I mean,
yeah,
they almost
West
have like
Ham's
a four-man midfield with the
yeah,
CCB pushing
West Ham's
forward.
actually looks like they had like a four-man box
Yeah, four-man
midfield,
box.
right?
Yeah.
And it seems pretty intentional, unlike ours.
Yeah,
Uh,
ours looks like I don't know, a 3-6-1 kind of thing. It's like a
yeah, pretty
flat
much.
six in front of the back three.
And the part that worries me is that it still feels like there are gaps in our average positions that can be exploited. Like that, it always feels when we're watching us that there's a gap between defense and midfield.
Yeah, like look here,
Uh,
my mount is coming inside, and then I think this
it,
Amas.
you can kind of sense that Mount is really closer to Hoyland, right? Like that's his
Yes.
zone, so to speak. He's not really trying to sit near, say, Ugarte or whatever.
Yeah, so I
But
mean, see the thing. I mean, both our tents are so inside, right? And our CMs are obviously centrally located. So yeah, there's huge gap on either side. We are more spread.
I, I
Look
want,
at West Ham. They're like way more. It feels way more compact over here compared to us.
it, it does, and it feels a lot more intentional. Like I feel like they've pretty much planned a four at the back. They've created a tight midfield box
Yeah.
somehow, and they have like two attackers pushing high. You
And the
know,
position of our CCB shows that even though we try to push our CCB forward, it's really not happening.
yeah, and I feel like part of why we look like we've pushed really high is because West Ham scored and we just kept sort of trying to chase the game,
Yeah.
right? Of course, we were a little more positive, but I think the possession ended up being pretty even afterward.
Yeah, and also this man, we had 20 shots and not a single goal. Like that conversion is just dismal.
Can you show us shot zones? I'm actually curious about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like that's part of the problem, right? Like half our shots come from outside the box, which which kind of tells the story of how we attack, right? Part
Yeah.
of that's because we don't trust our forwards to score, and
Yeah.
part of that's because sometimes I feel the way Amorim's system works is that we just don't get a lot of good box opportunities at times. So we kind of end up shooting from just
No, I
outside the
mean,
box.
come on, man. Like, you know who our striker is. I don't think the team trusts him either at this point. So you just have Bruno or Mainu or Mount taking shots from outside the box. Like, Bruno, he's being made to play deep. I mean, Mount is also probably tracking back. So they're probably just taking shots from outside the box. Compared to West Ham, they trust their strikers. They have Bowen, right? Bowen and who does he play?
Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah, obviously they are better strikers than what we have, and Suchek obviously. I mean, I wouldn't say Suchek is better than Bruno, but he's still a good player. So yeah, you have these people pushing forward, and you have 67% of your shots from the box. So yeah, man. You know, I mean, we can discuss the West Ham to death, but my broader point, and I'll ask you this, Rohan, is what is like is there any hope left? I mean, the reason I ask this is if you just look at INEOS ownership, of the past, what has been 1.5 year now, right? Since INEOS has come to the club. Um, INEOS, and even I would just club the Murtaugh era with INEOS as well, because I think our poor squad planning um, kind of got exacerbated against it kind of got magnified with Murtaugh after John Murtaugh replaced Woodward. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but man, you guys, I really miss Woodward, man. Uh, like, come on, like we we at least bought star players, right? When we spent 70, 80 million. Now the last few years we spent, like, I think Sancho is probably the only player I can kind of defend, because at that time it looked like a very good buy because Sancho was really lighting up at Dortmund. But if you look at all the
Yeah.
other transfers, Anthony 80 million,
Hmm.
Hoyland 80 million, and it's not like they were in demand. It's not like we were fighting off, three other clubs to get Anthony and Hoyland, or even
I
Onana.
think we.
Onana 60
I
million.
think
Why
we.
the hell are you paying 60 million for Onana? Or even Mason Mount. Okay, I agree. Mason Mount is not a bad player. He's much better than all the other transfers we have. But again, 50 million for a player in the last year of his contract, really, and that too is so injury prone. Like, how many 90-minute games has he played for us? So I
I don't
think,
think any.
wait, not even the West Ham game. Oh yeah, he got subbed off. Uh, but no, what I'm saying is, like, is this team is completely cooked, man. We wasted so much money on crap players, um, to the point that we can't sell anyone now. We're barely, like, we can't even sell Rashford, one of the better players in the side. How are we going to sell Hoyland and all these other players? Uh, we 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 had Eric Ten Hag, who again started promising, but then went off, off the deep end. Was very stubborn. Did a whole bunch of money laundering with Seg, with all the players that he got us, and then we fired him mid-season, and then hired a guy more stubborn than him, and now we are broke, so we can't even afford to spend 300 million to give him what he wants, even if we get the Europa League and get European revenue next season. Um, we were thinking so much to fire Eric Ten Hag even after winning the FA Cup, but then we ended up extending him. I mean, we just basically got his club option, but we extended him, and then we gave him another 200, 250 million to spend, and then fired him 3 months later. And then you got a manager completely diametrically opposite in philosophy, who is much more stubborn than Eric Ten Hag. With, we don't have the player profiles, we don't have the players, we have a bunch of garbage. And yeah, I think the whole INEOS era has been kind of a shit show. So Rohan, what are
I
your
mean, I
hopes?
know.
What are your hopes for next season? I'll come back to something, but I think uh, Rohan hasn't spoken much, so I'll ask Rohan, what are your hopes for next season, man? I really have no hopes. Like, at this point, I don't even care if we win the Europa League against Tottenham, because sure, we win, we get under what, 100 million. I don't think it's helping.
Well, the team right now is like where we have reached. It's like a reflection of our incompetent board for years now.
Yeah.
The decisions that have been made over the years, it's just showing on the pitch, and uh, it clearly, like, the player quality isn't there. There aren't people who are there to really lift the
Hmm.
technical floor of the team and to really take responsibility. I mean, apart from probably Bruno, maybe Casemiro at
Yeah.
times, even, who you can say reliably will now take responsibility of their, at least their position. Like,
Hmm.
forget about taking responsibility for the team, or, like,
Yeah,
covering
but
for each
like
other.
Rohan, I don't agree with that at all, man. Like we're saying like we don't have that. We don't have players good enough to do that job. But like, look at the draws West Ham have on the pitch, man. You're not telling me that this lineup is worse than the 11 West Ham's put out. Like okay, let's go player for player. I maybe the goalkeeper. What do you guys think? Who's better?
And Binder is garbage, man. Come on.
Fair. I'll give. I think we can all agree Areola's better. But let's come to Mazraoui versus Todibo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking Mazraoui. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
about
mean,
you
I
guys.
agree with you. Mazraoui is was highly rated at Bayern Munich.
Rohan?
And he's playing in a more favorable position. I mean, we have seen Mazraoui struggle on wing back, but he played him at right centre back.
Which
Sorry.
is, I feel, which is the one area where he shines
Yeah, I think
typically.
even on this spot, we all agree that Mazraoui is better at RCB. But yeah, Rohan, go
Yeah.
ahead.
What do you say, Rohan?
See, we can do the player comparison, like take each player for each player, but that was not what I was saying. It was more like, on the day people are making like huge errors uh, in all their positions. Even let's say on paper they are better than the opposition, right?
Hmm.
But if they make, like, even like you take the example of Onana and the errors he makes, like, on paper he is like played Champions League, and you know if you want to put him in that bracket, he is better than, like, he has more experience. He has more, like, people would say that we signed him, he's a good keeper and everything. But on the day, like, even if we play like a relegated team, like, let's say Ipswich, who is Ipswich's goalkeeper, and on the day if Ipswich's goalkeeper performs better than Onana, and we are still conceding foolish goals like that, or he's not, he's even getting like basic positioning errors on the day, then, like, what is the use of him being better on paper, right? We are going to drop points because at the end of the day it's the execution on the pitch that matters.
I mean, I could maybe give you that for Onana, but again, like, okay, like if you talk about Onana, if you talk about Ugarte and Hoyland, I could give you that. These are players who have, over the course of the season and over the course of their careers, maybe
Not
tended
like
to make
defenders
errors.
haven't made any mistakes. It's not like Mazraoui, Yoro, or Shaw or Maguire or Delete haven't made mistakes. They have made mistakes. They have been opened up many times.
I mean, I'm certain they have,
Yeah,
but the
100%.
same applies to Todibo, Kilman, and Cresswell, right? Haven't they been opened up numerous times
Yes,
too?
Yeah, he
I
had
like.
like 20
on
shots or
on
something.
yes, but on this day we were opened up.
I,
Ugarte did
I
make
mean,
a mistake,
I
right?
mean,
And it did suffer a goal.
West Ham is West Ham until this game was actually beneath Manchester United, and West Ham also had a managerial change midway through the season. So even that point of defense doesn't apply to Amorim, right?
No,
I'll give you Ugarte's
it's
mistake.
not about defending Amorim. It's about on the day who did what better and who did make mistakes, and it did cost us, right? On the day. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about recent form also.
Ugarte cost us the second goal. I concede that 100%. But who is the person who keeps picking Ugarte in every match day squad week in, week out? Isn't that still Amorim? Isn't the eventual responsibility still on the manager? I concede that the second goal was entirely down to Ugarte's mistake. Of course, he
Yeah,
lost the ball and they scored directly from that. But he appears in every match day squad and is pretty much first choice
Yeah.
in
that's
that position.
that is on Amorim. Yes, he does pick the squad. And let's say if he picks Collier and Collier also makes a mistake, then who would you blame?
Yeah, I would still blame Amorim, but the only difference being that he doesn't pick Collier, right? Ugarte is pretty much his favorite.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Like, on Amorim parts, that's fair. But again, on the pitch, they are the ones who are on the pitch, and if they if they are making basic errors like that, like giving away the ball like that. So okay, so for 1 second, forget like the fact that Ugarte does not have that kind of quality. He's not very, like, let's say he's not very press resistant or anything like that. He doesn't keep the ball too much. Okay,
Right.
keeping aside that fact, even then, as a midfielder who's playing in that position, and you know that Kudus is gonna jump on you. You know Bowen is quick. You know,
Agreed.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So I think he doesn't also have that kind of positional awareness also. That he was in a tricky position. He needed to move the ball quickly. He didn't,
Yeah.
and kind of gave it away, right? So those kind of moments that Amorim cannot control, that he cannot
Yeah.
control.
I
You
completely
can train
agree
for
that.
it.
No,
You
he
can
cannot
train for
control,
it.
but he knows the
You can
strengths
train
and
for it.
weaknesses of each player, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's my point. Like exactly because I completely agree that Ugarte has those fundamental limitations, and we can all see that, right? We saw it in the Bilbao game when he gave the ball away thrice in the first 20 minutes, and they should have scored, but pure luck prevented that. Uh, Now we got lucky there. They didn't take advantage of it, and we did,
yeah.
and we came out looking good. But the reality is that his performance wasn't good. For somebody who talks about the process and talks so much about uh, we must be ready to suffer, I feel like his process is inauthentic in itself because he would realize pretty quickly that Ogate isn't the answer in what he's trying to make him do. I agree with you that Ogate clearly doesn't have that ability. So that lack of ability isn't on Amorim, but persisting with him in the starting lineup is, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, Ron, also, do you think, let's say we have a decent summer window where we get three or four player profiles that Amarim wants, right?
Yeah.
Do you think things will magically change at that point? I mean, you know what worries me about Amorim? Like, see, I will concede that, he was kind of thrust into the situation mid-season. Despite INEOS, I mean, I hope INEOS knew that it's a completely diametrically opposite, manager profile compared to what we've had before and compared to squad building we've done over the past half a decade. But keeping all that aside, let's say Amorim gets, I think even four is stretch. Let's say get two or three, players, considering our budgets and all that. Let's say gets a striker and I don't know. What are you looking for? A midfielder? Not midfielder, sorry.
Yeah.
Like a right wing back? No, no. I know what a squad needs, but what the club is looking for is probably wing backs and strikers at this point, right? I don't think.
I'd say strikers and a DM or a 10
Yeah, yeah.
from the reports.
Yeah. So let's say we get two or three players of these profiles. I do you think this will the performances will magically start improving next season? Like I'm also worried with the kind of like I don't know what he's speaking behind closed doors to the team, but his statements in the media sound very very defeatist. Like he says it once or twice in the beginning. You're like, oh yeah, he's speaking the truth. He's saying the right things or whatever. But when every week you keep saying this is the worst side ever, we deserve to suffer, we deserve to lose. Like, come on, man. At least you're the team's manager, right? I mean, one or two times it might seem like fan service, but when you say it week in and week out, like what are you telling your players, right? I mean, your job as a manager is also to be the main motivator, right? I mean, these are all highly paid football players. It's not like they don't know how to play football, right? The job of manager is more in motivating them how to play, right? Especially senior players, you don't need to tell Casemiro how to play, right? It's more about motivating them to play and get results on that day. Yeah, that's your job as a manager. And then when you keep making these statements in the media that we are the worst side ever, my players are garbage, we have to suffer. What message does it send to the side, man? Like in public, when you keep slating them every week, like, I get it, you do once or twice, maybe after an especially bad loss, you do it, sure. But when you do it every week, you're kind of also just you're telling the team you suck. So yeah, you lose, you win. I don't care about the result. Kind of, I don't know. It feels like you're sending that message. So, do you really think a couple or two or three players, next season will magically fix things? I really don't know.
See, I'll address both. Like you put out two different things, so I'll
Yeah.
address them both differently, like separately. This thing was like we'll keep the interviews aside, like what he's been saying in the interviews,
Hmm.
and I'd like to jump back to what I originally said, like players having the right quality and also the taking responsibility, right? Uh, See, Amorim is no Sir Alex or any, like he's not a coach that is uh, he he's not that kind of a coach. I don't think he is like not the level of coach that Sir Alex was, and there nobody is like Sir Alex was the best manager ever. Uh, and e- even Sir Alex at times did not have like the best of squads on the match day, like on the day,
Hmm.
and still he was able to like motivate them to perform well in the game,
Yeah.
perform consistently throughout the 90 minutes and get those results, right? Uh, if I look at Amorim and like he's just like come in and everything, and he's so inexperienced in all of these things.
Hmm.
Like there's no way I am as a fan like expecting him to pull that kind of a thing there. Okay, so and if we have like bad quality of players, uh, I don't see us improving at all. Like if this is the team that plays again next season, I don't think we are improving at all. And when I talk about players like Casemiro, Bruno, these guys have that kind of ability that even when they're tired or they are like the situation is worse, they will kind of step up their game
Yeah.
and they are able to produce on the pitch. The
Hmm.
same cannot be said for all the players on our team at all.
No, I
Like
agree. I agree.
I cannot say, and that is what matters in the end, because even in the Premier League is so competitive. Even the teams below us can give us a lot of fight on the day, and on the day the top players on our team are the ones who, and like that we have to step up every game. It's if we want to close the gap on Liverpool have done it most times, so they are winning the league right now. We are no we are like light years ahead away from that.
Yeah.
It's like every game we are surprised that who will perform, who will show up on the day. Like we don't know where the goals is coming from. We don't know who will make that timely interception or the block in the defense. We
Yeah.
don't know who is going to distribute the ball. We have no clue, and that only comes when there is no clear quality at all. There is no like even like let's say the like take take Darren Fletcher for example. Okay, Darren Fletcher was not considered as big as Scholes. Okay, like a Scholes or a like
Hmm.
Perlo or something, right? Okay, but if you had to pick on like getting like that playing Darren Fletcher right now versus like an Ugarte or someone else, who are you gonna pick?
Man,
Who are you gonna rely on?
I would take a 50-year-old
Tell me.
Darren Fletcher at this point.
hundred
Yeah,
percent, right?
I mean,
100%,
okay,
right? Like what are like what?
okay, Rohan,
How
I
much is
get what you're saying.
the how much is
I
the
get what you're saying, but I get what you're saying, but it still doesn't explain why this lineup can't beat this West Ham lineup. We don't
no?
like West Ham does.
I'm not
West
talking
Ham doesn't have
about
Darren
that.
Fletcher or Pillow level players. They have Ward Prowse and Rodriguez.
Yeah. They
So
don't, and we should be winning, but we are still not. We are still making those errors, right? And we are conceding.
I
Like it's right there to
no,
be seen.
I think a big part of why we are so error prone in the league is of course player quality. One, with Ugarte, Hoyland, and Onana. I feel like these are the three players who play often, who have a lot of errors in them, more than everyone else in the squad. Because I don't think Bruno, recently, I don't think Casemiro, I don't think Mount or Menu are error prone. I don't,
Yeah.
maybe Garnacho is in attack. I don't feel Euro or Mazraoui
But
commit
I
a
mean,
lot
I
of
won't
errors.
count Garnacho because attackers are naturally error prone. They are meant to
Yeah,
take risks,
yeah,
right?
and he's a winger. I mean,
Yeah.
he is going to take more risks than anyone else in the squad. I don't feel Ahmad is error prone. So maybe Amas, I can grant you that because he's young. He has an error, sure. Uh, I don't see evidence that, except again Ugarte and Hoyland, that we are more error prone than West Ham. West Ham have Cresswell. West Ham have Rodriguez. Like these are not players who had a good Premier League season. They have been terrible all season. They have led to their manager being sacked. Right? They have they have led to the manager being sacked. They haven't. I mean, they've been below us in the Premier League table. So even the table says that they are worse than us, even in as bad as we are. Right. The truth of the matter is, Amorim has not beaten a team that is not in the relegation zone since January.
Yeah.
Is he not a direct contributing factor for how unimportant or how for the lack of importance we've given to our form in the league? The league, like league matches, don't exist only to. Or okay, let's put it this way: Manchester United doesn't exist to service Amorim's formation alone, right? Like, but doesn't it feel like we're just chasing what he thinks might work with, and we don't actually have proof for that. It's just an idea. It's just a theory right now.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Well, so
he's a manager
I'd
for
like to
one.
ask this. I'd like to ask this. If we don't chase, like, okay, let's not put it as chase. If we don't listen to what Amorim is saying or the formation he's putting right now, right, who should we listen to, and who is at the club right now? Who should we listen to? Like,
Yeah,
who's
see,
gonna step in?
those are two different problems, right? Like, I agree that a person like that is maybe not at the club right now because there was somebody like that, but we removed him after fighting a long legal battle. But two wrongs don't make a right? Like, just because we don't have that person doesn't mean Amram is that person. It doesn't mean that he is the one that should be
No,
entrusted.
but right now, who do we have?
Nobody,
So
right?
by default, we'll have to listen to him only, right? Right now.
No, I don't agree with that at all. Like, the absence of a director of football doesn't mean that the manager should have complete power. Isn't that the exact model that has created
No,
this
no,
mess in the
it's
first
not
place?
complete power. I'm talking about this game on picking who plays and who does not, what formation will be played. That I'm talking about. I'm only talking about this game. I'm not talking about previous games or
But
who has
this
been.
game, but the setup in this game is exactly the same setup we play in every game, right? It's indicative of how Amarim thinks in every game, and I'm okay with that. He has his own philosophy. That makes sense.
But okay, let me
My
ask you.
question is,
No, let me kind of bring this back to INEOS, right? It's not like we didn't know what kind of a manager Amorim was before getting, right?
right?
So I mean,
That's true.
couple
Yeah,
of things. First thing, INEOS has been saying even from before we hired Amorim, even from last summer, I would say, INEOS has been saying this club is in a bad financial state, right? It's why we did all those
correct.
layoffs and all of that, right?
Sure.
So,
Apparently, yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, we are. I mean, you can see that the books are really bad. I mean,
I mean, they said that, but then they caused the books to
no,
worsen
no,
to that point
no,
by
no,
spending 250 million,
no, no, I
right?
agree. No, no, my point is, no, no, even before the summer window, we were not in a good state. It's what I'm saying. Sure, we spent
Right.
that 200
Right.
million
True.
as a last ditch attempt to kind of, support Eric Ten Hag or whatever. No, no, my point is, your books are bad, right? And you made it worse
Right.
by supporting a manager who was completely, not a good fit at all. I would just leave it at that. I don't want to slander Eric now. But
Fair.
your books are bad, and you made it worse by giving a manager 250 million, was not a good fit, and then you fired him. Right? I'm just coming to
Right.
that point. At October, when we fired Eric Ten Hag, because we were
Right.
10th in the table, and even though we didn't have, like, second season Eric, we gave the excuse of injuries for why we were bad. But third season Eric,
Yeah.
we didn't
Yeah.
have we didn't have anywhere near that amount of injuries, and we were still struggling. So you fired him. Okay, I get it. You took a bet. At least you didn't give Eric a 5-year extension. You only gave him 1 year, and then you fired him after 3 months. Sure. I mean, I don't agree. Like, that's a different debate. But sure, you fired him, right? And you cut your losses.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, you need a manager, right? Now, if you're a smart owner, right, or whoever I won't say owner, because obviously it's not like Jim is taking final decisions, but you have a bunch of people at the club who you claim are all, sporting related people, right? So
Right.
you have a side that for the past decade has operated with a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 kind of tactic, I mean, sure, we have changed
Right.
philosophies over the years. I agree that, Van Hal, Mourinho were more structured. Ole was more, more free flowing kind of football. Eric, it depended on when the sun rose in the day, what philosophy he'll pick that day. But I mean, not getting into all that. But you, at least your player profiles were more suited to like a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. The profiling was on those
Yes.
terms. Sure.
So now you're mid-season. You don't have a transfer window near you because this is October, right? So you can't buy the players that the manager wants. And also this is October, so it's not like
Agreed.
in January you can do a wholesale, rebuild of the side. Why would you hire somebody like Ruben Amorim? You know exactly what he gets. He doesn't hide anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
very, very
Absolutely.
honest
Yeah.
about the kind of forget philosophy. He's very particular about the kind of formation he wants, the kind of player profiles he wants, and he's very upfront about the fact that he's inflexible, right? Like, come on, you
Yeah.
you can't blame him
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
And then,
Absolutely.
despite all
Yeah.
of this, you go and hire him. Like, if this
Right.
is not setting up the club for failure, I don't know what is. Like, it
I
seems
mean, I
every
agree with you.
decision
It is.
every decision that this ownership has done, not just INEOS. That's why I said I'm also commending the Murta era on this,
Right.
because it just feels like Ed Woodward, who we hated so much, was a much better executive than anybody who has come after him. And that is, Woodward is a very low bar. Like, we suffered because
I
of
agree.
decisions for so long, and somehow we went even worse than him twice.
I have to agree with you completely. I mean, he set the bar low, but the ones who've come after have undoubtedly been worse, including their thought process, just the process in appointing Amorim. I
Yeah,
don't think it's a well thought out decision. I don't think they've explained why
like,
they made that call.
the thing that doesn't make sense is you hire Dan Ashworth, right? You pay him
Right.
5 months of garden leave. You hire that man. Now, okay, we can have a separate discussion that, oh, Ashworth wanted, who was that one? Graham Potter? Was it the guy he wanted? Some stupid English manager? Southgate?
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, that was conjecture, right? We don't actually know
Sure.
Ashworth
No, no.
wanted
What
that.
I'm saying is, you say Dan Ashworth wanted his managers, right? Ashworth,
Right.
if I remember
Right.
correctly, did not want Amorim. I think that's where the disagreement started
Yeah, he didn't want
between
Amorim. That
Jim and
I think was
Ashworth.
pretty clear.
So no, my
Yeah.
point is, if you get a guy, appoint him as a
Mm-hmm.
director of football, so you give him complete football control over the club, and then you
Right.
don't listen to him, and then you fire him
Yeah.
after 4 months. I don't know. I have to check the dates, but he probably spent more time in gardening leave than with our club, right?
Yeah, he did.
So you
He
wasted
did.
another 20 million over there, or 25 million, whatever we spent on, his severance, his transfer fee from Newcastle, his wages for the 4-5
Firing.
months.
Yeah.
Or you at one point you're saying the club doesn't have money. You cancel the Christmas party. You're not paying for the staff to go to the Europa League final, which is such a big occasion, especially for a club in 16th. um, you know, Getting to the Europa League final is a massive occasion, to be fair. We're also the only
It
team
is.
in Europe this season to be unbeaten across all three competitions, if I'm not wrong. So,
Maybe. Yeah.
yeah. And then you say we'll not pay for the club to, the staff to attend the final. Your players are pitching in saying we'll have 30 staff members, 50 staff members, or all of this. I don't know how much of it is true, to be fair, but all these, even the fact that these rumors are flying around, says a lot. So, yeah, my question to both of you is, like, it's a continuation of the previous question. Like, even if you give 300 million Tamarim or 200 million Tamarim, will it work? But I think my greater question is, are we completely cooked with INEOS at the helm? It doesn't seem like we take any good decisions. Like, when you
Yeah,
make the
we're cooked.
Glazers look like good overlords, you got a problem.
I can't say for certain that Amorim will succeed or fail. I think the jury's out on that. I personally feel like there isn't enough evidence that he is going to be a success yet, but that might change with time. But as far as INEOS goes, like every move they've made has been terrible so far, bar none. Like maybe the only moves that I've liked that they've made so far is bringing in Mazraoui, relatively cheap. But even there, I don't like the fact that we sold AWB. I feel like he could have also helped us. in a way. And secondly, signing Lenny Euro. That's pretty much it. Like those are the only positives of their
Maybe
time.
heaven for a million.
Oh, right, and Eden Heaven and as well. I'm not going to include Dorgu. I think he's a good signing, but uh, it wasn't super cheap considering it's still a gamble. But Eden Heaven, sure. So that's enough. And maybe Seiko Kone. Uh, the other two moves I liked that they made was Christoph Vivel for head of recruitment, and I like the Dan Ashworth signing. So the fact that they went back on that makes it much worse. Uh, we now have somebody who was technical director at Southampton who just got relegated, and Jason Wilcox, and another guy who was a financial figurehead at Manchester City, not really involved directly on recruitment and stuff. And they're the ones picking the manager. It's well known that Berarda is the one who sat down with Sporting and
Yeah,
brought in Amorim.
yeah.
They're the ones picking the players. Uh, Wilcox is a big part of why we're linked to Liam Delap, right? I mean, he was part of City's youth academy where Wilcox also worked, and it might work, but we don't have evidence of success from them. We had more evidence of success from Eric, like which is kind of troubling to me. I know that what Sean Dyche said sounded kind of put downy or insulting, maybe, and maybe a lot of United fans won't agree with me on this, where he said that maybe United would do better if I manage the squad.
I
But
honestly can't fault him for that, man. We
yeah, but the thing is, we have evidence of that.
yeah,
If you look at Everton last season, right, they won 13 games in the Premier League, right, over the course of the whole season.
yeah. Man,
I
just the
think the
fact that
points.
Sean Dyche plays a back four probably puts him ahead of Amorim at this point, given our squad construction.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean that's like I said, that's not Amram's fault, but for sure,
Yeah.
I agree.
No, again, I don't blame Amorim a lot for the whole conundrum. I blame INEOS for even letting this happen.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Rohan? Do you think Sean Dyche would have been better? At least get us top 10.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like we are 16th, right? 16th or
Yeah.
17th, like, and plus, like the relegated teams don't have much points between. Like the gap is that is a very big gap. So there was no there is nowhere to go below this. So yeah, probably any other manager would have done a little bit
Uh,
better.
yeah, I want to point out a crazy fact here. Ruben Amorim averages 0.96 points in the Premier League, points per game, 0.96, right? Sean Dyche with that Everton squad, which by the way he got sacked from because Everton were below us while like early on in Amram's time. Sean Dyche got sacked with Everton below us. They're now above us.
Yeah.
So he didn't do that well at Everton, right? He got sacked at Everton. Uh, Sean Dyche averaged 1.23 points per game in the Premier League.
But
with
again, we have
that
better
Everton
players than
squad.
Everton, so I think Sean Dyche should have been better.
Exactly. I mean, he had more points per game with a worse score
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he got sacked for.
Yes.
He was so bad at Everton, they deemed it necessary to sack him, and he still had more points per game than Amorim. Does that not feel crazy to you guys, or am I like? And they're above us now. If I'm not wrong,
Yeah,
I think
they are.
everyone's above us
They are.
at
They
this
are.
point,
Everton is 13th.
right? So managed by David Moyes,
The guy we sacked.
yeah, the guy we sacked. So I don't
Yeah.
know, like.
Yeah. It's honestly crazy what's happening in this side. Let me ask you guys one thing. Do you remember Ollie's first season when we reached the Europa League final? Right? Was that his first season?
No, that was That was
Second season, right?
20. Well, second full season,
Yeah, yeah.
2021,
No,
end
I
of
mean full.
2021.
I'm not counting the season he came midway.
Uh,
Yeah, no, the full
right.
second full season, right? Um,
Yeah.
that season we also came second, but
Yeah, we did.
if you remember to when we played the Europa semifinals,
Hmm.
before we played Roma, right? There was this narrative that if we don't beat Roma and go to the final of the Europa League, that
Right.
Ole should be sacked.
Yeah, I remember.
We were
I was one of the
second in the
people
league.
peddling it.
We,
Yeah, I was one of the people saying that. Yeah, it was a very strong narrative,
yeah.
to be honest.
You know what I don't understand is a lot of United fans online, they keep saying, "Oh, we are doing Oli revisionism. We are not giving Amorim his due." Guys, do you even look at our league position? Like, we wouldn't probably
Every
be
day.
having this discussion if we were seventh or eighth in the table, because we know the level of this side. Probably not better than seventh or eighth which we got last year, but we are like we were flirting with
I think if
relegation at
all
one point.
I think if we had this podcast during the season, Ole was here, we wouldn't have enough content for it because like the expectation of Ole. Yeah, look, Ole had problems, okay, and I'd be the first person to admit that I
Yeah,
said
you
that in the
hated him.
past. But yeah, but the expectation that he failed uh, at the time was trying to compete for the Premier League, trying to be competitive, and he literally finished third and second. So it was a very different like level
He
of
finished second
expectation.
twice, right?
Third and second, but I mean equally decent performances,
Sure.
right? Uh, we're expecting Amorim to be like, I don't know, like maybe 11th or 12th instead of where he is right now. Nobody's expecting him to like get top six. Uh, I mean, I'm expecting him to beat West Ham. Like, is that so crazy?
Yep. Yeah. So let me, Rohan, question to you. If you don't win the Europa, or even if you win the Europa, I don't care about Europa at this point. But I know we talk about transfers and all of that, but my bigger question is: should we change the manager, or do you think we should stick with Amorim? Not because I hate Amorim or because I think he's a bad coach, but I just think he's, at least personally, I think he's a very bad fit given our squad.
I think there's been a lot of focus on Amorim, uh, and I would say uh, we we, sh- we we need to stick with him for now.
Mm.
And from what I am seeing, from what I am seeing, I don't think Amorim is going anywhere next season. He'll be here. I don't think INEOS is going anywhere. They'll be here. Okay. And the three, there is there at right now there is no, like, I have never, I've not seen any kind of vision from INEOS that has been like passed down to from top
Yeah,
to
that's
bottom,
the other problem.
right? Yeah, that's a very big problem. Like, there is no director of football there who is deciding things, that how the team is going to play and what players are going to come and everything. So there is nothing of that sort right now.
Mm.
Okay, so we are kind of stuck with what Amorim's approach is. Okay, and by the look of things, we are like the Delab rumors, Punya news. We are kind of signing players for this formation. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's kind of somewhat clear that okay, next season we are going to stick with this formation. We are looking to sign players for this formation. If we win Europa, that might be a big boost. If we don't, then obviously then things will even get like even much harder than what it is now. And should we stick with Amorim or not? Like personally, I feel like we will kind of have to stick with him and at least give him like a good window, and some like another year,
Hmm.
and then assess. Right now, it's like too early because even like he was brought in mid-season, and as you pointed out, like INEOS made this mess, right?
Yeah.
So at least from that, he kind of little bit he deserves at least 1 year to at least see. See again, if he gets like properly backed, if Ineos is making good decisions and you're getting good players on the pitch, okay, and then we are still stuck with these bad results, and we are not even going
Hmm.
about 10th, or like not showing some any sign of progress, then obviously then it lot falls on Amarim, right? It's clear then.
Yeah.
But right now it's very unclear. Like he's just been stuck in the middle, and from in competition, see from both the sides, from the player side and also the board side, when there is no vision, no plan. So what can be said about that? It's very unclear. Like before pointing fingers, like where to point, we don't know that also.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Sandeep?
Uh, I I mean I don't completely agree with that. Uh, let me first say my like simple summary here. I think if Amrim and the squad win the Europa League final, as they should,
Hmm.
I think overall it's a better team than Spurs, especially in the current moment, especially because Spurs don't have Madison, Spurs don't have Kulusevski, Spurs don't have Bergwall. Those are massive losses, and three of their most decisive players. Spurs have a Son who is woefully out of form,
Hmm.
and a shadow of his former self. If Amrim fails to win the Europa League with United, he should go.
Hmm.
And I have reasons for this. It's not just some outcome bias based on he can win a trophy. It goes deeper. Amrim's devalued the league ranking and positioning and performances extremely. Big part of his narrative has been we're going to suffer in the league, we're going to suffer in the league, and we have. But the
Then why are
danger
you
with
starting
doing
your
that is
first team players if you're devaluing the league?
exactly. I mean, your narrative is that you want to devalue the league, but you aren't trying out youth players. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't win games with first team players like the one we're seeing right now.
Hmm.
And if you've devalued the league, it's ostensibly to make things better in the Europa League because you see that as a realistic way to get UCL football. If he fails at that hurdle, the reality of the club is we're in a financial crisis already, and we're 17th, and that's it. There's no European football. There's no finances coming from that.
Yeah.
Then the task of building a team for Amram for his setup
Hmm.
becomes even harder. Bridging that gap from a back four profile squad to a back three profile squad that Amram wants, it becomes an almost impossible task. So that's one of the biggest reasons I feel it doesn't make financial sense to back him if we don't get UCL football
Okay.
next season.
Hmm.
And that's not personal. That would apply for any coach, if
Yeah.
not him.
Yeah.
Second, the minute he loses that game, if that were to happen, the
Hmm.
implications are massive. We've lost a final to Spurs. If it would happen, we've lost a final to a weekend injury crisis-ridden Spurs, who've not won a trophy in I don't know, like since before Christ, right? So the problem then becomes is that we have a manager who hasn't been able to lead the players in the league and hasn't been able to motivate them for it. And I get it because there's nothing for us to win in the league. So, okay, I get that. But he's also failed to lead the team enough somewhere where we actually have something to win,
Yeah.
right? So, what's going to be the mentality of the squad and their approach to him? Like the confidence levels in his setup is going to, whatever it is right now, it's going to drop to zero,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah.
at that point, is he even a viable like leader of the dressing room? Even if we want him to be, I don't think that stays consistent. Having said that, if he wins the Europa League, that will be the first time I will feel personally that this is someone who can lead Manchester United, because that will be the first action he
Yeah.
would have delivered at Manchester United that shows that he's capable of leading the club. Because if he wins the Europa League, I think he deserves our full backing. And just because that means we get UCL football, we get the finances to back him to change to the system. And he shows evidence of growth. He shows that he can take this team to a mental position where we can do better, right? And then we can build on that success. So, like it's pretty clear for me. I think if we lose the Europa League, the fallout will be so massive that his position in the squad will be shaken. Like, even if I were to say he should stay on, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. What do you think, Pratyush? Like, that's what.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I'm really not sure. Like, again, like I said on a private chat or even this pod, I don't necessarily dislike Amorim as a manager. I have huge respect for what he did in Portugal, right? He
Right.
took Sporting to
Yeah.
success after they didn't win the league for like 20 years or something like that. So, like,
Yeah.
again, he took them, sure, Sporting were third, but again, taking from third to first is also a big jump in many cases. And he
Right.
was able to do
Agreed.
that, right? So, I do think he's a good manager, but I think the more I see him with this team, it just feels like he's, not a good fit, right? So it's not necessarily a diss on Amorim, it's more a diss on INEOS for hiring him in the first place. Now, my
Agreed.
problem is
Yeah.
that, like we said, our squad is completely different from Amorim's philosophy, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that will not just take 1 year to fix. That will probably take at least 3 or 4 transfer windows. Like Eric himself, like sure, he did absolutely terrible squad planning, but even he took at least 2 to 3 windows to get a team that he wants. And we were kind of very similar player profiles and all of that. It's just that he needed different kinds of players and all. We still played a black four, similar 4-2-3-1 tactic and all that. This
Yeah,
guy
the profiles
plays
are the same.
yeah, this guy plays a 3-4-3, so it'll probably take more than just 2 or 3 windows to give him the side that he wants. And now the problem is not just next season. Okay, let's say we win, for the sake of argument, let's say we win the Europa and we get Champions League football and the revenue windfall that we get from that. So we maybe instead of 2, we can buy 4 players. Now,
Agreed.
are
Yeah.
we getting into European places with that next season? I would still say, what is European list? Top 7,
No.
top 8. I would
Yeah.
still think that's a tough hill to climb. So now where are we again? Either Amorim is like, okay, let's kind of play in such a way that we come third in the group stage so that we go to the Europa. And then do we again hinge our hopes on winning the Europa again so that we get that sweet European revenue somehow? And, try to win the FA Cup next season so that we get the Europa that way and, get some European revenue so that we can afford to keep spending to, mold the squad in how Amorim needs. So I think the next 2 or 3 seasons are going to be very financially risky for the team because we know that the club can't afford to spend like say 4 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
our costs are much higher. We have a lot of players on the books with high wages that INEOS or Amorim or both don't want to use. And getting rid of them is a substantial effort, and then you have to buy all these replacements, and you have to buy replacements that Amorim wants. So yeah, I mean, honestly, to be completely fair with you guys, I don't think, and given how we know that INEOS operates, as we have seen with Nice, they pretend
Yeah.
to fully back a manager and then fire him a few months later. What worries me is that let's say we get the we win the Europa League and go to the Champions League next season. So we are okay, sure, we have a lot of money. We give Amorim 300 million, right? Let's say we give him 300 million, buy 4 or 5 players, probably you can buy more, right? You sell all the dead weight in the club. You will raise up to 500, 600 million. You can give him an entire new squad. Let's say that actually happens. Let's say Vivel and Wilcox and Berard are actually that competent to get 11 new players for Amorim. And let's say in October we are ninth in the table, right? Now
Yeah,
let's say
which
ninth,
can happen.
which can happen, right? Because again, the
Yep.
team will also take time to build cohesion and teamwork and all of that when you have so many new players, right? Let's say
That's
by
right.
October, November, you're ninth or 10th in the table. You're showing promise, but you're still ninth in the table, right? Best case scenario, I would say at this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past INEOS to fire Amorim at that point, and then hire a back four manager after you spend 500 million building a 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Because isn't that what they did with Eric? Like they literally followed that reverse sequence.
And with Nice,
Eric, right?
with Nice, you see Nice's manager history for the first few years
Yeah.
of INEOS ownership.
Pretty much. I mean, they moved from a back four manager in Farioli to a back three manager in I can't remember his name, but whoever managed them this season. And I felt like it was just a case of them picking, oh, like here's a talented manager. Let's just bring this guy in. But
Yeah.
let's not care about whether he works for the squad or not.
Right. Yeah. So I think on my side, that's basically what I'm worried about. That even if we back Amorim, do we have the even if you give him 10 new players, it's not like magically we're going to start being in top 4, top 6, right?
No.
You need to have the patience to support the manager and wait at least one full season to see how it plays out. And then B, you also need to build an entire, let's say you go on this back three train, you need to build an entire infrastructure at recruiting infrastructure at the club, so that even if Amorim doesn't work out, you hire a manager who at least wants similar player profiles. Sure, not that he wants a complete 3-4-3 and the exact positions that Amorim wants, but at least like a back three, one guy up top kind of a guy. You don't want a guy who's like, hey, I'll play 3-5-2 now. Suddenly you don't have enough strikers at the club, or you play like a back five. You're like, hey, I want a back five. I don't want wing backs. I want 3 centre backs and 2 full backs. Now you spend 200 million getting a bunch of wing backs in the club. So what do you do with them now, right?
And Pratyush, like what you're saying, right? There's a dangerous knock-on effect with that too. If we have a manager, for example, who is like, okay, I want to prioritize a system with wing backs, right? But our youth academy for a long time, and even now, especially now,
Yeah.
produces players who are wingers because they respond to 4-3-3.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
So-
The entire recruiting and scouting infra was built for a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 kind of thing. And by that, I don't just mean the first team. I mean the youth teams, the reserve teams, all of it.
Absolutely.
So all of this has to be retooled, and you have to commit to this formation at least for the next 10 years. You can't just be changing every couple of years depending on what manager you like. Like even before, when we
agreed.
we were we used to complain that every time we change managers, we're getting a different player profile. We went from strict position based play of Van Gaal, recycling based position football, to then we went to very defensive counter-attacking kind of football under Mourinho. Then we went to whatever the hell that Ole does. I still don't know what his tactic was, but he got his results. Then we went to Eric. Then we went to Eric, who first season played a pragmatic style of football. Second season went to some transition nonsense, which basically kind of made us concede goals left, right, and center.
Pretty much, yeah.
But there were still similar formations throughout the 10 years of that. And now you completely changed formations, you have changed tactics, you have changed philosophies, you have changed everything. Like, it's a complete retooling of the club. Now, I don't mind doing that. Like, honestly, hey, guys, I don't care what formation play as long as you win trophies. But you need to have
as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, you need a stomach to commit to this in the long term. Like, let's say fire Amorim at that. Let's say fire Amorim next summer, right? Let's say INEOS gives him an entire season, right? He finishes 8th, right? And
Right.
INEOS is like, hey, we gave you 500 million to spend and you finished 8th, right? So you're not working out, which I would say is fair, right? You give him all the profiles he wants, still finishes 8th, you fire him. Okay, agreed. Now what? Are you going to commit to another back three manager? Or are you going to again, go back to, I don't know, whoever is the hot new manager at that point? And
And that's one of my concerns at that point. If
Yeah.
that happens, and it well could,
Like
the
Jim keeps saying that,
back
hey, we don't
three
have
seasons,
a
the managers to
data.
replace him,
Jim keeps saying we don't have a data analytics team and all that, and we still haven't
which is
hired
scary.
anybody for that, right?
Which is scary.
Yeah.
Like it's 2025. Like
Like if you look at modern football, it's not the 90s 2000 style of football where you hired a mercurial manager and made them get results, right? It's not the
no,
Ferguson, Wenger, Mourinho era anymore, or even Pep. Like you need to commit to a philosophy, and you need to use data analytics to kind of build every facet of the club from the ground up, right? Because every other
absolutely.
club is doing this. Like in the 90s, no club did this. So you could get away with having a strong manager. Like now clubs don't have that much patience. You know, um, like Amorim, he gets asked questions. Hey, Ferguson got 4 seasons. Do you think he'll get 4 seasons? No, he's not getting 4 seasons to kind of prove himself. Or like Wenger, or any of the other managers who got a lot of time. It's a very different sport today. So yeah, I think that's what worries me, right? Like honestly, I don't mind sticking with Amorim. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for what he did at Sporting and the kind he turned the club around. But I just don't think that we have the necessary infra around Amorim, starting right from the top, from Berada and Jim, to kind of push that club in that direction and make the things happen, right? And also
Yeah,
again end up not being dependent on Amorim. Like tomorrow, if Amorim is fired, you don't want to be caught in the headlights saying, "Oh no, what do we do now?" And then again retool the club when you hire a new manager. Like at least commit to this for the next 10 years. I mean, sure, give Amorim his freedom and all that, but at least build the necessary support structure so that tomorrow, if you fire Amorim 2 seasons later, you hire a similar manager so that you don't have to redo your entire groundwork of the past 3 seasons. Which I don't
yeah.
trust INEOS to do because they're not shown any track record of doing that.
And I think the danger that becomes at that point is when you hire a manager who is as positionally rigid and inflexible as Amorim, because it's a bit rare, right?
Yeah, yeah.
At that point, you're not just tied to a three at the back system, but you're tied to like very specific profiles you're
Hmm.
recruiting for. You have to have wing backs. Uh, you have to have tens who can kind of carry the ball and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like
at
Rohan,
that
would you be surprised? Let's say we fire Amru mid-season, even end of next season, and then Jim is like, "Hey, back three is not working out. Let's hire Graham Potter or somebody like that, or even and I mean, I forget what does
I,
Potter play back four, back three, but I mean, regardless, I mean, he's still I say pretty different from Amuru.
uh,
Or even if we get Southgate, maybe Jim thinks, oh, Southgate plays a back three, let me get Southgate. But it's still a very different kind of manager with different player profiles. So,
I
and then
wouldn't
again,
be.
next summer we'll be having
Yeah,
this same conversation on this spot. Hey, you need to give the manager time. He doesn't have the players we need. I mean, that's kind of the problem, right? If you keep buying such dramatically different managers every couple of years.
I wouldn't be surprised if they like sack him also mid-season or something like that, and then get a back four manager like that. That does sound like INEOS. Very trigger happy and trying to just do whatever they can. In that case, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, and I would also be very concerned even in that case because uh, I don't really trust because they are like they don't have a director of football and everything. They are
Yeah.
making transfer decisions themselves and everything, and I don't trust their recruitment of players as of it.
Hmm.
And that is a very big concern for me. Like
Hmm.
even if we move to a back four formation, let's say like the most basic 4-3-3 you can ever play.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say they do that. I don't trust them to even get like the right kind of players for that 4-3-3 also. And even if they get the right profiles, the quality won't be there. Like I am very concerned about that. And if the quality is not there, we will just be hanging like okay, we won't come 16th, we will come 10th, but we will be 10th only. We are not going anywhere close to Liverpool and competing with Arsenal there. So that is my biggest concern. Like that there is no flow of ideas and principles from top to bottom. Very competent. Like there is no competency there. So That is my biggest concern. Even if you move to a back three, back four, you'll see improvement. 100% you'll see improvement, because and then player profile also they'll get.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're buying like at cut price deals and not we are not able to get the good players, right? Who are really, like I said, who can really lead. Even in I'm not saying the whole team. At least do something in your own position, right? Do pick up like pick up your performances when needed in your own position.
Yeah.
If we are not able to do that, then play any formation you like. We are coming 10th only, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
That it is as simple as that. Like I can't see any hope then we are just gonna be a mid-table team. That's it.
Yeah. I
Then
think.
then
I
to hire
think.
Sean Dice also, no. Then hire Sean Dice and enjoy the mid-10 life, like the mid-table life.
I think we very much are a mid-table team. I mean, 8th and 16th are up
We're not even mid-table
finishes.
right now, Somdeep.
Yeah, right. We're relegation battlers right now, but we're very much the bottom of mid-table. Well, bottom of the whole table
Yeah.
right now. We've only beaten relegation teams since
Yeah.
January.
Anyways.
Like if you have like Hoyland, like, let's say Hoyland has he's completely mastered the 4-3-3 formation in his head, and we are still stuck with Hoyland in a year two, year three.
Yeah.
Like how do we improve from there, right? Like
Yeah,
it's still gonna be the same kind of a
man.
thing.
I feel like Hoyland, Ugarte, and to some lesser extent Onana, these guys have acted like bulletproof vests for Amorim. Like because they're like such obvious problems that for the time being he is protected, and rightly so.
No, but they would act as
No, but
bulletproof
I
for
mean,
any
Somdeep,
manager, man.
we kind of have these two or three scapegoats with every manager, and they're like, hey, if we get
Yes,
rid of
with
them, it'll be
every
fixed,
manager.
right?
Yeah, but I think like, and I'm saying this as an Amorim hater. I think Hoyland is a very real scapegoat. Like that is a problem, right? Like no matter how we dress that, it's like you have a salad, right? But the lettuce is spoiled. Like you are gonna get E. coli if you consume that salad. There's
Yeah,
no
but we have
way
spoiled
around.
lettuce in every salad in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we do, but
Also, we are going on and on. We are going on about like Ireland and everything. I honestly don't feel that even if you pick like someone like a Mazarawi, or right now Delete or Maguire is playing, they are nowhere close to the level of what we had in like Vidic and Ferdinand, who would really
Oh, not even
take us to that
close.
level. They are light years behind them. Okay, so even if Hoyland is kind of the worst, it's not like the good players that we have are that kind of level that are just gonna go and charge and take charge and get us the league and
I,
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, I agree, but nobody's saying that they are of the level of Vidic, etc. Right? The point is just that they're better than the
Yes,
level
but
of
even if you
16.
play them in a different formation, how are we going to win the league? How are we going to get there? How are we going to
But
compete?
again, nobody's saying we're going to win the league,
Yeah.
right? The point is that we
Yeah,
shouldn't
but
be battling relegation.
we want to think of those things. We want to get back to the top,
No, no.
right?
Like, for
Yeah,
example, next
okay, but
season, INEOS target is to get top six. I don't think we're getting top six, even if we give Amorim
okay,
a set
but
of
even
11 new
even
players.
even by even by that logic, right? Even by that logic, if I were to imagine the situation of wanting to win the league, then logic says that a manager and a system who have you close to relegation, IO was possible bet to win the league, right? Even
No,
going by that logic, right?
it's not about sticking with the manager and everything. Okay, as United fans, we all want that United should win the league, whether it is Amorim at the charge or any other manager at the charge, or if they're playing any formation, but there has to be like a proper approach, right? Like once you get that approach right, then we will see some improvement.
Yeah,
But
but I'm
we
saying
don't
that
have
there is
that
no
right now.
evidence that this is the proper approach. The whole club is operating on the assumption that this is the way to that. But I'm saying, no, we don't know that this is the way to that, right? There's zero evidence so far. If,
Yeah, for
if
that we'll have
that,
to wait, right? We'll have to see the next season also, correct?
and I'm willing to do that, but all the evidence so far says we're near the relegation zone, right? That's the reality. Like, that's not coming from my head. That's the harsh truth is that Ruben Amorim has won 6 games out of I think 24 or something,
Wait, has he won
and
six?
he's won 6 Premier League games.
Yeah, okay. 6 wins, 6 draws, 13 losses.
Yeah, and the harsh reality is that we still not crossed the 40-point mark. That those are just hard facts, right? So why would I assume that we are even capable of imagining winning the league with anyone involved in this? Player, manager,
Well,
you know.
if if we were like 10th in the league right now, this was a different manager, and you are playing like 4-4-2-3-1, or let's say whatever four formation that you would like. Uh, would it be like, would that be necessary evidence enough for you to believe that we are going to go and win the league and we'll back him for the next season as well?
Absolutely not, but it would be enough evidence for me to think that he's better. He's doing a better job than Amorim. So I'd back him more.
I mean,
Like,
obviously he's
like
coming
I,
10th,
I
so
had
he's obviously doing a better job.
I had trouble with Ole, but I can say comfortably that so far, the evidence indicates that he is better. He has done a better job than Amorim. But
Obviously,
I'm also open to the idea that this might be different in the future, right?
yeah.
I'm just saying that until we have that evidence, it's a bad idea to spend 300 million for this just to satisfy his setup. Until that moment,
I don't. I feel that we should at least give him like 2-3 players, and really strong
agreed.
players, because this team does not have like a backbone. It does not have like a spine. Uh,
See,
from my point of view, it doesn't. Like, really, we need someone in defense. We do need someone in midfield, and we do need attackers.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think there are 2 spots I would say he deserves to get straight down.
Somdeep, it's
Like,
kind of a chicken and egg problem, right? If you don't give
yeah,
him the players he wants, then he's definitely going to lose, and we're going to suffer again next season.
Yeah.
But then also, if you want him to succeed, you have to give him the players he wants, and then that's why I'm saying, is he the right man to take us forward? Because if you're going to commit, it's not just committing for Amorim; it's committing for the next 10 years of at this club to a back three
yeah,
formation,
uh,
and
but that's
that I
that's what I'm
don't
saying.
see
I'm
evidence
saying
of INEOS doing that.
I completely agree, and they won't because it's seniors, right? They are like garbage.
Yeah.
My point is just that we shouldn't be trying to uh, we should not be trying to buy the players he wants or his system wants.
Hmm.
I don't know. We should not be trying to buy
We
the
lost
players he
Rohan, but
wants.
yeah. Hmm.
We should be trying to buy the players we want. That may be also fit a system.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, if my earlier point was, sure, we should, if you're going to support Amorim this season, then you have to
Right.
build the infra at the club to support the next 10 seasons. And if you don't have the stomach for that,
Agree. Then don't
then
do it.
then don't then fire Amorim right now. is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
fair. That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I'm not
Rowan
saying
is back.
fire him.
Rowan is back. Rowan, what I was
Yeah.
saying.
What did I miss?
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, I'm fine with supporting Amorim, giving him, let's say, assuming we win the Europa and sell a bunch of players, we raise 500 million, give him an entire new team. I'm fine with all that. Like, really, I don't care who is at the club as long as they're winning. But what I'm saying is,
Right.
if we want to support Amorim, then we have to be ready to at least, like I said, retool the entire infra around Amorim, like the youth, the scouting, the recruitment, all of it, to go beyond Amorim. So at least you have to stick with the formation at least for the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe in 5 years football evolves to, I don't know, back six, I don't know, whatever, man. Like, sure, that time we can think of retooling. But as of now, for the short to medium term, let's see if the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you have to commit to kind of hiring these kind of managers and buying these kind of players beyond Amorim. Only then should you even be willing to spend 500 million in supporting Amorim now. I don't have a problem supporting Amorim, but INEOS has to think long and hard about long-term squad planning. And if they're not ready
Yes.
to do that, regardless of what happens in the Europa League, let go of Amorim now. You're wasting his
Yeah.
career and our club's future.
And the finances, which are in a dangerous position right now. Like
Yeah.
that's not a personal or emotional thing. It's just like we
Like,
can't afford
we're
to
already
waste them.
teetering on financial ruin thanks to Mr. Ten Hag.
Yeah.
You can't afford that
Yeah.
again.
And if we don't come up with a system that is independent of the manager, we'll just be repeating the same model we followed with Tenak, right?
Yeah, like I
Make
mean, let's say,
purchases based on his needs.
let's say best case scenario, right? We get top four next 2 seasons because we gave 5 million to Amorim. We get top four next 2 seasons, so we continue
Yeah,
to extend Amorim. Let's say third season
right.
syndrome strikes. We are ninth in the third season, even the Amorim has always played. So we fire him, right? Fair, you
Yeah,
fire Amorim.
like Ole.
Now, yeah.
Yeah,
Now let's say hire a back foot manager. Now again wasted 3 years and $1 billion and £1 billion, right? And your
exactly.
club is again on teetering on financial ruin again. And you also are going to be building a new stadium now, so that's like 2-3 billion pounds that you're going to spend on that. So we are going to be kind of financially hard pressed. You know,
We
yeah. So
already are. I
we
mean,
already are, and we're going to be even more because we're going to spend a massive amount of money on a new stadium, which I get it why they're doing it. But I think we should think long and hard about the
yeah,
kind of future you want at this club. If you want to commit, I'm not even saying an exact 3-4-3 that Amorim does, but at least like a back three kind of wing backs kind of formation for the next decade.
system.
Yeah, then sure,
Right.
support Amorim. Even if he loses the Europa
Yeah,
League, support Amorim. But if you're not going to commit to that, then I would say let him go now. Because Amorim is a very, very
agreed.
different philosophy, and you can't just risk everything for just 2 years just to revert to a 4-3-3 again. Then you waste £1 billion
Which is very,
again.
which is also very likely because the number of managers who typically prefer back three setups like Amorim, especially ones who use wing backs, are
Yeah,
very few at top level in European football. I mean,
yeah,
I can only think of Xabi Alonso, and even he uses wingers more than wing backs. Simon Inzaghi, and maybe Frank Heiss at Nice. That's it. Like, and there, of course, there are a few more, but it's a harder like pool, right, to pick from. So yeah, if INEOS comes out saying, "Hey, like this is our plan for the next 5 years minimum,"
yeah.
sure, and by all means back Amorim. But I don't think
What
they're
do you think,
going to.
Ron? Before we wrap, do you agree with that, or do you have something else?
I agree with you, Pratyush. I That is what I was saying about having a long term vision and
Yeah, yeah,
following that on. Definitely there will have to be some decision making from Ineos here, like going forward. That okay, we are going to stick to the three at the back formation, and then
Yeah,
look at managers on similar terms. Then if
exactly.
Amorim
Right.
fails to perform, then we'll probably look at them and then come bring them in. And by side on the side, they'll continue recruiting for the player thing, like for the formation.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that
Yeah,
way, it won't be too much of a mess. Uh,
maybe plan with him now, but
yeah,
stay open to a
yeah,
negotiation
yeah.
like
exactly.
2 years down the line.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
100%.
Anyways,
Yeah, I think if they do something like that, I would be like, okay, by all means, buy these players
yeah,
because we're not
exactly.
going to lose track of them.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. I think we need to kind of have long term planning before we decide to hire or fire Amorim for
Yes.
next season.
Yeah,
Anyways, I think we have gone on for a while today. Before we wrap, I'm not going to Premier League predictions. I think we all agree we're going to lose to Chelsea and Villa.
of course.
Bonus
Yeah.
points if you think Marcus Rashford is going to score a hat trick against us to get all his frustration out
Yeah.
of the system. Wait, can he play against us, or do we have a no parent club
I,
clause?
don't- I think he's injured, so I don't think he's going to be part of it.
Oh,
Right.
very good. We are saved. But let's focus on Europa because I guess that's the only game where Amorim doesn't want us to suffer. But I mean, okay. Before we start, again, I don't know if Amorim is taking this seriously because off late is speaking. We don't have the club to play. We don't have the squad to play Champions League next season. So I'm worried about
Yeah.
intentionally tank the Europa final as well. But yeah, we can have the discussion if we lose the final. But okay, yeah, quick predictions from each of you for the Europa League final. So these are the Takeover United pod predictions for Man United versus Tottenham on what 21st May. So Rowan, you're up first.
Uh, I'm just punting this. Okay, so I have no idea who's gonna win. Honestly, but I'll say United 2-1. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sandeep.
Assuming all the players we have right now stay available and like injuries on both
Sure,
teams
sure.
stay
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way they are.
yeah.
I think both teams are bad at defending, and I think Spurs will probably may not play with a high line because it's a final, but I still think they'll concede in Super League. So I could see like a 3-2 late victory for
Okay.
United with Manu scoring the winning goal
Okay. Okay. Um,
late in injury time.
yeah. I think the game will finish 1-1 in 90 minutes, and we'll probably score a winner in extra time.
Yeah,
I know the defense is bad for both teams, but I think the attack is also bad for both teams. So, especially, I mean, we know everything about our attack, but even Tottenham with all the injuries that they have and Son being out of form,
agreed.
I think
Yeah.
their attack. I think both the teams' attacks will struggle. So I think we'll probably get a 1-1 draw in standard time and probably win it in extra time 2-1. Yeah, I think.
I would like to take my comments back from the Lyon game and like place it here because I think this is the battle of the worst.
Yeah, I
Yes,
agree. It really is.
yes, the
It's
movable
literally the
force
battle
against
of
the
two of the
stoppable
worst.
object.
It's literally the battle of the two worst teams not to be relegated in England. Literally.
Oh my God, you are right.
Yeah.
Spurs is
There's no
17th.
one left. Yeah, and we're
Yeah, there's no
16th.
one left. This we might finish in this at the end of the season too. Spurs play Tottenham and Spurs play Villa and someone else, so they might
Yeah.
Also,
they
no
play
matter
Tottenham
who
and
wins,
they play Villa and Brighton. So yeah, we might end up in 16th and 17th.
also no matter
You-
who wins, Arsenal are gonna get trolled.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to end on the pod that whichever team wins the Europa League final has probably had a better season than Arsenal, and that's how you end a
Well,
United
yes,
podcast.
but the flip side is that if we lose, it's much worse for us than if Tottenham lose because everyone expects Spurs not to win a trophy.
Yep, yep.
But I think we'll nick it. We have Bruno. They don't have Bruno.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's it for us, everyone. We will see you folks after Europa League final, and yeah, you'll know how
If
we
we
did that day.
if we still feel like doing the pod.
Yeah, yeah. All right, see you, everyone.